The first is just continuing to make advances on the utilization of bispecific T-cell engager antibodies and CAR-Ts in the solid tumor setting. We've seen that both of these types of modalities have been very, very successful in the heme malignancy space. And it's really beginning to understand, how are they working in the solid tumor setting?
When we get that data, how are we analyzing it? There's an awful lot of data, and how do we analyze it and keep the spatial context and get all the data? And I'm not even sure, do we need pathologists or do we need computational biologists to do that?
The major challenge is to apply all of this new amazing discovery that's coming up, even including from us and from others, really making to the clinic. There is certain barriers. One of the barriers, obviously, regulatory-wise, translating this complex interaction of multiple biomarkers into one assay. In the end, needs to be one readout that's commercially available, with a global footprint. That's not an easy or cheap task.
Biomarkers have gotten a little bit more complex. They get a little more expensive, and it becomes a little more important to learn how to incorporate them early. So whereas the potential of biomarkers is still there and being ever more realized, the associated expense and work to go along with that has also increased, and that creates difficulties in bringing really cutting-edge technologies to clinical trials.
But now the challenge is going to be to identify and have evidence for clinical validity of these biomarkers, but also not to just be able to identify a biomarker that correlates with the disease, but now how does that affect and improve patients' health? The biomarker validation and identification is the first step. And then the next step is to identify ways to target and treat and show that this as a whole now can improve patient lives. And then of course, the next challenge, the next bottleneck will be how do we effectively bring this into regulatory standards and have this available for patients that really need this treatment.
In the last few years, there are more and more companies that are working on cell therapies for solid tumors. That's something I'm looking forward to in 2024.
Machine learning and AI growth that we have seen in the last few years, I think what's going to happen is that people are finally going to start to put it together in a way that we can actually use it and leverage and understand more what all of this big data mean. I mean, I think it's for the last at least 15 years, we've been accumulating a lot of data, but few managed to make sense of them. It's just there was too much data that we can really handle.